I'm a copycat. The nice thing about the high roller community for me is that you get to know the players well, and you get a good feel for how they're playing. And then I just kind of copy things that I like.
Yeah, that's a good strategy, even in business, isn't it?
You know, the Poker Masters, we give out the purple jacket. That's obviously a copy of the U.S. Open. Yeah, I'm more than happy to copy great ideas.
Why is it that you support poker so much?
I love poker. I've been playing poker since I was like 6. There's 5 icons. In my mind, the 5 icons are Doyle Brunson, Daniel Negreanu, Phil Hellmuth, and
get ready to level up. This is Winning the Game of Life, presented to you by Dan Jungleman Katz.
What's up, everyone? To who will be viewing this, I'm with the person who's arguably influenced poker the most, Cary Katz. Has done immense things for poker. He's created PokerGO, Poker Central, which created PokerGO, to my knowledge, along with many high roller tournaments.
Super High Roller Bowl. We have the Poker Masters, the PokerGO Cup, the US
the Poker Masters. And Poker Masters, especially what I was thinking of, because they're going all the time. But yeah, you've done a lot by making tournament series, as well as making a platform for streaming content. On top of that, I understand you're one of the most successful recreational players with making over 40 million in cashes. And who knows, have you played much cash games? I don't think I've seen you in too many cash games.
I haven't played cash in years. I just, I don't know. I got the tournament bug, and that's what I prefer to do. It's just, to me, it's just like, it's a hobby.
Sure. But yeah, you've got an impressive poker resume, as well as, well, I mean, I'm more impressed by the whole impact side of things and the whole business side of things, which I'm trying to get people to appreciate here on the poker channel. But at minimum, they can appreciate the 40 million in cashes. It's no joke. I'm sure, well, are you pieced out? You're selling lots of pieces to these things, or are you, no, well, you probably don't want to talk about that, actually.
No, I don't mind talking about it. I don't sell any action. Who would buy my action? I mean, I've sold before, just on that, when it was pocket fives, and now it's, what's it called? Poker stake.
I would think some people will be buying, some fans will be buying at minimum, and then...
Yeah, I mean, it'd be for entertainment value. I don't think it'd be a great buy.
Well, I've heard otherwise. Brent Kenny seems to be a staunch supporter, or was. I don't know what the situation is there.
No, Brent and I are still great friends. I learned a lot from Brent. Only player I ever staked was Brent Kenny. I've had a lot of people ask me, and I just felt Brent has kind of a sixth sense that is very hard, that I don't think you can really teach. And so I learned a lot playing with him and from him. And ultimately,
did you learn? Did any of that sixth sense rub off on you?
I think I have pretty good instincts. That's why I don't do any studying at all. Poker, like I don't never looked at a model.
Oh, okay. That's yeah. If it works for you, I can see you have a bit of a unique style that I can see works more for tournaments. That's my personal way of looking at it. I would have thought that he was teaching you some kind of theory. Do you have any hands that show the sixth sense, or show how like instinct can do something that you can't really see in the solvers or from the math or anything? That's
I think it's just a matter of I mean, I think it's a matter of like knowing the player. The nice thing about the high roller community for me is that you get to know the players well, and you get a good feel for how they're playing. And then I just kind of copy things that I like from what they're doing.
Well, yeah, that's a good strategy, even in business, isn't it? Because like if things work and are working for your competitors or friends, then just do them business too, right?
No, like
isn't that
exactly? I'm more than happy to copy great ideas. I mean, I'm a copycat. Like we did, the Poker Masters. That was a copy, right? We give out the purple jacket. The US Poker Open. That's obviously a copy of the US Open. So the Super High Roller Bowl. It's kind of copied it off the Super Bowl. You couldn't call it you're not allowed to call it the Super Bowl of poker, right? So I got that name. I got a name that I thought was the closest we could get to the Super Bowl.
Oh, I didn't even know that. So how funny is that? I mean, most ideas are copy or twisted.
Yeah,
some kind of way that makes sense.
What, and plus, when we were starting out at PokerGo, we didn't exactly have a huge budget for branding. So when you create a new brand, it makes sense to kind of go with something that everybody knows what it is. Like the Poker Masters, I think people have a pretty good general understanding of what that is. It's just a series, just kind of like golf, right? It's a series. In our case, you play 8 events, and the guy who scores the most points wins. So you don't even have to win an event to be the Poker Masters champion. You just have to have the best series. It's just like in golf, right? You don't have to have a golf tournament is 4 days, or is it 3 days? 3 days, 3 or 4 days. What is it? 3 days or 4? I don't even know.
I don't know.
I think it's 4 days. Anyways, it's not who has the best day, right? I mean, someone could go out there and shoot a 65 on day one, but if they screw up the next few days, then they're not going to win the overall tournament, even though they had the best day one. So it's the same thing in the Poker Masters. If you win the first event, there's no guarantee, you're going to win the whole series. You got to have a really good series to do it.
Sure. Well, that also makes it more credible for poker to actually be a sport, which is, I think that's what we're trying to do, is make it a, what is it called? A speculator sport, spectator sport. That's what it's called. Similar to golf, etc., where money comes in from the watchers, more from the audience. So like now it's not just people battling each other for loads of money, but or money doesn't come in from the rake, but it comes in from the audience. I mean, that's the idea with, I think one of the principles of PokerGo, etc., or I know that other companies are working on that. Is that high on your agenda list for poker?
Well, the real challenge with poker is that you have to delay the broadcast. So you can't really have live poker, which all sports are live. And the reason you can't have live poker is there's, gaming board requirements that you got to delay the stream probably at least around 30 minutes or so, which means it makes it very hard to bet on the live action. If there was a way to actually have real live poker, then people, could bet on the action. It would be a little more exciting, and you could sportify it, I guess, as you would like to say.
Okay, I didn't imagine that was the issue, but is that part of your goal? What are your goals with Poker Central, with PokerGo, with Poker Masters, etc.?
Well, we retired we started out in 2015 as Poker Central, but I ended up, once we launched the PokerGo product, we became known as PokerGo. So we basically don't really use that brand anymore. We've actually eliminated that brand, so we're just literally just PokerGo now.
Wait, you eliminated Poker Central or PokerGo?
Poker Central actually changed the business name to PokerGo LLC from Poker Central LLC. So now we're literally just
okay.
Poker Central that name doesn't cease to exist. We don't use it anymore.
Okay, fair enough. I read that Poker Central was like the parent company of PokerGo. That was why I said that. But go ahead. What are your goals?
That is absolutely correct. Poker Central was the parent company, and then I just changed the name of Poker Central to PokerGo LLC. So now we're just Poker.
All right, we got to the bottom.
PokerGo, and Poker Central doesn't exist anymore because, there's only room for one big brand.
All right, there can only be one. The Highlander of the poker.
Exactly. PokerGo is the Highlander of the poker names.
All right, fair enough. So where is PokerGo going?
Where is PokerGo going? This year we're going to do north of 5 billion minutes viewed, which is definitely a step in the right direction. We're still focused on expanding distribution as much as we can. It's a global game, and we want to. We've launched PokerGo Brazil and PokerGo India and PokerGo Espanol. And
oh, really? I didn't know you'd done that.
Yeah, we got some great partners there, and so we got some content now in Japan. That's Japan. So we're looking to expand. Get the word out. I mean, poker's a great game. It's a great game. The beauty of poker is it's so closely tied to business. It's about making decisions based on imperfect information, and then ultimately comes down to your instinct. And on the decision you make, it's about not getting rattled when you make bad decisions. And it's taken me a long time. It's taken me probably 55 years to learn that you have to actually embrace the losses. Like for 55 years, I was I wouldn't say bad. I just, I was like any other poker player. I get angry when I lose, and I get upset that my luck's running bad, or and I whine about my hands, and I finally had an epiphany, and I'm done with that. I'm not going to complain anymore. Why? Because we're incredibly lucky that we can play in these games. Like, like top 1% luck that you can even sit down at these tables and you can play with people and have a good time. And, these are great people to play with. It's a lot of fun. And ultimately, you have to embrace the losses. So I'm trying to change my attitude that just enjoy the ride, right? When you're all in for, you're all like, I used to dread being all in. Oh no, I'm all in. I may lose. You get that bad feeling in your gut sometimes because you didn't feel like being all in because you want to keep playing. But now I'm trying to learn to just embrace the losses, so that if you're all in with queens versus ace king and you lose, just celebrate with your opponent or wish them good luck, and don't get upset about it. Understand that it's just part of the game.
Is that your epiphany, you would say, or is there something more to it?
The epiphany is that if you can, enjoy the losses. Celebrate with your opponent if you can. I know it's not easier said than done, but I think keeping your energy, positive, even when you're losing, then the card's going to turn pretty quickly. I actually had an experience when I got very fortunate and won my first bracelet this summer after trying forever, and I was heads up with this Brazilian player. And he had like 30 screaming fans, and they were going nuts every time he won a hand. And I was beating him. We were heads up, and I was up like 31 million to 13. I think the blinds were like 1 million. So it was like 31 to 13. He goes all in with a 9-8 suited, and he flops me dead. And the old me would have been like, whiny. I'm so unlucky. I could have won a bracelet, and I would have got all negative about it. Instead, my new attitude is, you know what? I said, fuck it. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go celebrate with his crowd. And I felt the energy, I embrace the energy. I just enjoyed the moment. Just even though I lost and I lost that hand and now we were all tied up. I enjoyed the moment. And I actually had a lot of fun. And I swear to God, this happened. The very next hand, Universe rewarded me, gave me pocket aces. I won a really nice pot. And then I went on and won a bunch of hands. Ended up winning a flip, threes versus ace jack, and actually won the bracelet. So to me, changing the mindset, I don't think I ever win. I just don't think I win that bracelet if I had the old mindset of feeling sorry for myself for losing that hand. You know what I mean? And getting negative. You know what I mean? And letting that energy bear down on me. Instead, I embraced the loss, and I was ultimately thankful that I actually had that opportunity to have the excitement of being all in. To have a chance to win the bracelet. Just like be grateful that you have that moment as opposed to what? I mean, so what if you lose? Who cares? That's part of the game. So just enjoy the fact that you had the opportunity to have the moment to actually lose. And then sometimes you're going to win and it'll be even better.
For sure. Actually, there is a lot to be said for having that opportunity. As I have learned, as I read more about the rest of the world in history. That actually is quite a big point. That's a little bit understated. I think audience probably does not quite appreciate at the moment. It's hard to know if the universe works that way, but it might work that way where, you have like a positive attitude that's, you feel good no matter what happens and more good things happen to you. I think going into that idea, there's at least a personal theory of mine is perhaps the randomness is out aligned in some kind of way to positively manipulate. But I don't know if that's true or not. But definitely, I mean, just looking at it from, what's best for yourself, it's obviously the best to make the best of what the situation is, no matter whether you win or lose. I mean, that just has to be the case, right? So
yeah, no, right. Like in a way, I was like creating my own prison. Like, you get it, you're all in for this huge pot, and you're gonna be like the chip leader if you win it, and then you lose the flip, and then you're all angry and pissed off and angry, and it's like you're just putting yourself in a prison when you do that. And I did that for 55 years. I'm sick of doing it. So I'm just from now on, I'm just gonna, I'm grateful that I had the opportunity. I'm excited that I'm all in. If I lose, I'll celebrate with my opponent and I'll get lucky in the next one. That's the attitude I'm trying to adopt. I can't say I do it 100%, but I'm getting there.
No one does it 100%.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to actually, and I got to look this study up, because there's a study where basically people actually tend to look at things relative to their position and tend to overemphasize the negative, even if it doesn't even make sense. There was a study about where people had a scar on their face and they kept thinking, and they kept like kind of victimizing themselves to the scar. But the thing is, even when the scar was removed, they kept victimizing themselves because they had the scar. It was from this book, Comfort Crisis, but basically the conclusion from this, or it might have been from another study, was basically that even when things get better, people, if they have the pattern of finding the bad in something, they're going to find it. And even though the bad gets smaller and smaller, they're still going to like have a similar emotional reaction. That's actually definitely what's happening in today's society. If do you read much history, Cary?
I can't say I do. I mean, I'm not a big history buff.
Okay, well,
what history do you want to talk about? I may know a little bit.
So I've been enlightened a little bit by reading a little bit into history to realize how lucky, in fact, we are. So a lot of what's happening in modernity is people they're getting more and more of what they want so much, so that every little thing that you don't get has such a big reaction to it. And if you were to look back in history, say until actually around the 1900s and maybe like after World War II, more precisely around the baby boom, etc., actually the world really sucked out of this planet. Like no one can even imagine, because it was just impossible to have quality food. Like famines were a regular thing. In fact, if you had kids, people often had way more kids because it was commonplace for multiple of them to die, until literally around this time. Even, the fastest ships, which would transfer materials to different parts of the world, there was no globalization before then, because they could only go like 6 miles per hour maximum, even after the industrial age, etc. But basically what I'm saying is that we're all extremely lucky, and we just don't realize it because we've never seen any of that. But reading all that, or reading all the absolutely terrible things in history, was actually a really big hack for me to start feeling grateful and realize, oh, well, wait, we're actually wildly luckier than we think we are. I could go on and on about how much things suck.
A hardship for people today is being without their phone for a few hours, or when or the internet goes down. That's a hardship today.
Well, I mean, if like tiny little things in the world apparently are changed, such as a massive trade ship is delayed, it can, in certain parts of the world, even developed parts of the world, basically, make the gas prices surge or almost collapse a whole market of insurance. Like that kind of thing is not known to loads of people these days. But yeah, like you said, like not having your phone is a major inconvenience these days because we're so spoiled.
Yeah, for sure.
We can move on from that. What other epiphanies have you had while playing poker that have helped you be happier? Or not even in poker, in business or
life?
Well, just anything. Yeah.
Yeah, life. I mean, I think like a lot of people my age, like I basically, my entire adult life, I was always like, 15, 20 pounds overweight, never, always too busy, always working. Or, there's always an excuse, right? I'm working, I don't have time to eat the right stuff, I can't get to the gym. And I do have more time now, so I guess that is a legitimate excuse, like when you're 30s and you're raising kids. I mean, you're busy. But I've finally kind of got my arms around food, which is kind of nice, right? I've really simplified that part of my life where it's just like, I just eat at noon, I eat at 6. Fast for 18 hours and I don't snack any. I'm just done snacking too. I think that's helped me a lot though, from a health standpoint, just and for focus and for thinking, is just like not like I was just addicted to sugar for like, I guess almost 55 years, right? I was a chocolate addict, and just being done with kind of sugar has made my life a lot better.
I mean, I'm tempted to quit sugar a little bit as I just ate like a pack of sweets, Harbos. Maybe you can convince the audience or convince them to have more to care more for their health to help your bottom line.
I mean, I just think sugar is just catastrophic for your health, right? And like you eat sugar, and it just makes you hungrier. You're spiking your insulin all day long with the sugar, and then the cravings get bigger and bigger. And I think like my understanding is the bacteria in your mouth, you're craving sugar because the bacteria in your mouth is also craving sugar. And there's some cheat codes. I think like you got to get maybe some sugarless gum, and there's some really good sugar-free treats out there. Like you can make like sugar-free brownies, like low-carb brownies that are like fantastic. They got like 5-carb vanilla ice cream at Breyers. I mean, there are some cheat codes. I mean, you're taking in fake sugar at that point, but you got to have some substitute. If you're getting off sugar, I mean, that's the hard stuff, right? It's hard to get off. It is really hard to get. It took me 55 years to get off sugar.
That's a hard drug.
But I think once you go about 2 weeks, I think the bacteria in your mouth starts changing and the cravings go away. So now I'm like, take it or leave it. I used to be just like, I couldn't go maybe more than, I don't know, 6-7 hours without eating a candy. I eat like 3 candy bars a day. I mean, it was just out of control.
Well, join the club, or rather, I'm part of the club and you left the club. It sounds like, well, you were telling me a bit about your workout regimen. It sounds kind of intense, to be honest. Let's talk about what benefits have you seen from quitting sugar, and also, it sounds like it's just a personal goal for you to get in better health, or is this a way to extend longevity?
Yeah, sure. And I mean, I'm fortunate. I work with an anti-aging doctor. Started working with them around COVID. And he's just helped guide me to make some better decisions. And it's been a gradual process, right? But I think it's important. Like one thing I think Dr. Peter Attia says, and my guy says, it's like the most important thing somebody can do who's not like physically active is to actually lift weights. If you lift weights, even just like 3 times, if you go from like not lifting weights at all to lifting weights 3 times a week or something, your chances of getting one of the 4 horsemen goes down like 300%. And the 4 horsemen being, blood disease, brain disease, heart disease, and cancer. So, obviously nobody wants that. So by lifting weights, if you're like literally someone who doesn't lift weights, it reduces your chances dramatically. So it's like it seems like a no-brainer to do. So in my case, I lift 150 times a year. I used to do more than that, but it was like counterproductive. I'm just too old. At 55, your body just doesn't recover. So I've started doing it. So it's just 3 times a week, and I do it like certain body parts each time. So you get like a full week to recover. That's working a lot better for me.
Sure. My trainer told me there's something called oxidative stress where you can totally work out too hard. It's definitely a thing. I also learned from Renaissance periodization. I always script the name, but that apparently hard workouts actually push your willpower harder than, say, cold plunges, etc. Is that also something on your list, a motivator? I think you've got a couple of goals you mentioned to me in the fitness realm also.
Yeah, I mean, I just got some goals. I try to lift 150 times a year. I do yoga 150 times a year. Yoga is a good complement for the lifting because you get all tight, and then the yoga kind of like reverses out that damage. The thing I've always been bad on is cardio. I've just always been bored by it. So I'm trying to cardio sessions in this year, and I'm a little behind schedule on that one. But I'm gonna get that done. And then the other thing I'm doing too, which has been really helpful, speaking of cold plunges, cold plunges are hard. I mean, even though like I've been doing a cryo, I do a cryo about 3 times a week, which is negative like 160 degrees. But I got the one where you basically, it's like a human refrigerator. You go in there so you can get your head, and you get out of there and you're like, you have like a natural high. So it's pretty cool. It releases a bunch of endorphins. So, but that's done wonders for like my knees and stuff. So I'm a big fan of the cryo. It's great. I think it's just great for brain health more than anything. It's definitely great for your knees. I think my knees are hurting. I go on the cryo. And they feel good as new as like when I get out.
Yeah, I wanted to get more into that stuff myself. The only problem with that was I travel a lot, so cryos are not really in other countries. I found it to not really be practical unless it would just happen to be in the gym or something. I read that. What's that?
Yeah, you definitely want to like at least dunk your head when you do the cold plunge, right? As long as you can.
Sure. Although one thing, they said that it didn't really benefit to go beyond something like, I forget what the temperature, but that might be possible. Apparently, like super cold water doesn't benefit much. Is that the case with cold plunges?
I don't know. Look, I think a cold plunge is harder than a cryo, right?
For sure.
You're getting wet, and the only thing I don't like about the cold plunge too is that you don't really get your head. So that's one reason I like the cryo better, is you're getting your brain.
For sure. The only problem with cryo is that, if you're going to, I mean, even like Jeju, man, or even like insert almost any city that's not London or like a major city in the US. Like, it's not that easy to find a cryo.
Yeah, that is definitely true. It's not that practical.
Yeah,
you got to find a club that has the cryo and the where it's off.
Well, if you got a list of those, I'm sure, or if you have some kind of app for those, I'm sure the people in poker world benefit. They need to get their ass in the lifting weights department. I mean, clearly that's the first move for a lot of guys.
Yeah, everybody knows the hardest part of going to the gym is just getting there. It's not that bad once you're there.
So I think a lot of the people that are watching the podcast, including myself, are wondering, does the fitness complement your business? I mean, to what are you going into the realm of doing it so much that you're focusing more on fitness because your business life is pretty set? I think many people many of the people watching, they're trying to make their money, and probably fitness isn't, or especially longevity, isn't really at the top of the list. So there's that, and are a bit more interested in how you built your wealth from the beginning, and how, like, that, if you were to do things over, what would that look like?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, at heart, I'm just a salesman. That's all I am. I consider I'm just a sales executive. And I think anybody who's got natural sales skills can run their own business, because if you're a good sales guy, you can bring in revenue. And if you can bring in revenue, then you can be the guy, even though you can be the guy who hires the super smart guy to be the CFO, and the other guy, the genius to be the CTO, and eventually find a good CEO to replace yourself. So you got to focus on being a good salesperson if you want to start a business. Right? You got to create revenue. You can't create revenue, then there's no business. So when I started, I was a salesman, my 20s. I mean, before that, I was in high school, I think I was a pizza man, just delivered pizzas. And in college, I was a bartender, and I unloaded trucks. And then I got a job selling insurance right out of school. I was selling like pension plans and things like that, which is hard to do. That's a hard sale, right? You're just calling on companies and people, and you're just a 22-year-old kid. It's hard to sell.
Did you get some sales on that?
I did.
How did that happen?
I did. And, eventually I got into the student loan business. When I was 29, I started a company called College Loan Corporation, which was, ended up, I almost lost all my money. And, but we turned a corner like early in the second year, and started doing a lot of volume. I think we probably only did about 20 million our first year in loans, which really wasn't anywhere close to what we needed to do to cover our expenses. The next year we went all the way up to like 780 million. So it just like kind of took off, and then we hit 3 billion in loans. And so the company did remarkably well. I got lucky. I like in business too. It's like anything in life. Sometimes you got, it's not always the smartest guy who's successful. You just got to keep grinding. You got to work hard. You got to be positive. And you're going to just have so many failures too. That's just life. So I got really fortunate. I was in the right industry at the right time. I grew a very nice business. I feel like I'm a much better businessman today than I was then. So it definitely required a lot of luck for me to to build that business and to have it become as successful as it was. The company, I'm proud of College Loan Corporation because, I did share the wealth, right? I think we created 75 millionaires in the company, and the company's still going today. It's here in Las Vegas. I resigned as the CEO back in 2013, and it's now an employee-owned business. So it's 100% owned by the employees of College Loan Corporation. I'm no longer part of it. I just kind of just passed on the mantle.
Yeah, that's very impressive. But even passing on the mantle, I've studied business a little bit. I mean, there's something to be said for that, because what you really want to do is create something that can run without you. I mean, I know that.
Yeah, sure.
About business.
I mean, and life is all about balance, right? It's and it's hard to have balance though for people who are like in their 30s or their 20s and their 30s, and they got kids and they got a job. It's like really hard to have life's balance. I mean, how are you going to find time to go to the gym as well? So I can definitely empathize with that.
Well, I'm curious what changed when you went from 20 million to 780 million, and is there any relationship to that in poker?
What happened was I was initially focused on doing loans for parents, and those loans were smaller and they were very difficult. And then I knew in the off season after school started, we needed another product to sell, and there was a loan called a federal consolidation loan. So we started offering students the ability to consolidate all their loans into one loan, get a lower rate, and then they could, stretch out the payments longer and get their payments way down. So there were a lot of benefits to federal consolidation loans. So we could go in, like some people would have loans from undergrad school and grad school, and they want to, they'd have multiple payments and they wouldn't want to just consolidate them together, get one loan. So by offering that product in the off season, which I didn't know it was going to take off the way it did, but there was a lot of pent up demand. So in this case, I think I got very lucky. Right. I just happened to offer the right product at the right time. There wasn't a lot of competition at that point. And, I had a really good sales team. I can't say from a business standpoint early on, I wasn't very good at, managing like the IT department and stuff like that. But, as long as you have, a strong sales team and you can build revenue, then you can fix those other problems in time,
Sure. Well, it sounds like you had a good sales team even when you were only making 20 million, or only when you had 20 million in loans too, and you're still. I have a how poker does compares this afterwards. Actually, there is a way, but it sounds like you had a great sales team even when you're
like 20 million in loans is really probably only maybe generating. Yeah, I mean, we got off to an okay start for sure. I mean, I'm not complaining. So.
What I mean is, it sounds like even though you weren't that successful, it sounded like you had a lot of the right elements for success, and I presume you're working hard as well during that period.
Yeah, I mean that when you're starting a company, that's when you're working your hardest, right? And then you're waking up at 3 a.m, scared that you're going to run out of money. At that point, we had our 5th child, so it was a little risky for me I wasn't expecting to put that much money in the business, so I just didn't think I'd be risking it all, but it ended up working out well.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories where people end up risking much more than expected, but yeah, it does sound like
that's what happened with PokerGO, right? Because 2013, after I stepped down from College Loan Corporation, I got bored. That's when I started playing a lot of poker. I didn't have enough to do, and so I was playing a lot of poker. I mean, I was just playing everything, like $500 events, stuff like that. And then it just came up with the idea that I thought, look, there's a golf channel. There seems like there should be a poker channel. So that's why we launched Poker Central. It makes complete sense. I mean, poker gets good viewership. There's no reason there shouldn't be a Poker Central in this case, which is PokerGO. And so we started in 2015, and it's grown from there, right? It went from practically no viewership to 5 billion minutes viewed. It's now the world's largest poker content company. But it's, I've put far more money into that business than I ever anticipated. And that's, so that's one thing I would caution anybody to do is passion projects can be expensive. So you may want to avoid them. Yeah, you can run into trouble.
Well, it's for the passion, it's not for the money. Like, that's the whole point. I totally learned that the hard way. And it seems like everyone around me that starts a passion project most of the time learns that.
Yeah.
The cool thing about poker is that, in fact, you can mix a little passion and a little money same time, I wonder if you've seen this in poker, but there is a bit of a related idea to your luck turning in business and poker, but not exactly in the way people think. But in poker, people have a little bit more control. It's a lot easier to change games or change like sectors of business, you can say. As in, you could say, okay, no limit's not going well. I'm going to go to PLO or go play tournaments or whatever, right? And so, while it's not within one's control to, know when like the right events in life are going to turn around for a business, if PLO is soft, and this is what I keep trying to advise people in poker, they can just learn PLO and win, or if they have the kind of amazing PLO opportunity. A lot of people don't really focus on that side of being successful in poker, but I would think that in business, I don't know what the equivalent of that is. It sounds much more difficult to do that in business, but I guess you can do like some market research or anything like that. Is that would you say that that's a thing a lot of people can do in business, like find the right field to invest in order to become successful?
I mean, I guess you could argue both sides of the coin. I mean, ultimately you want to be doing something you enjoy. So I think that's probably the most important thing, for sure. But I wouldn't risk all your money on it. That's for sure. If it's like more like a hobby.
Sure. So the passion projects are worth going for. It sounds like
I've had fun. I've had fun, building PokerGo. It's finally going to be profitable, but it's been a grind, and I've learned a lot. And it was, I didn't have any media experience, so jumping into this industry, which is incredibly competitive, was pretty naive of me. But fortunately, it's the company's doing well now, and I think we got a great team. We're pretty lean. We do 100 live days of poker. We've got a lot of iconic brands like High Stakes Poker, and we just acquired the NBC Heads Up Championship, which you were a part of, and I kind of followed my performance, but NBC too. Well, we can't say. Well, we're not allowed to say, but anyways, that was a lot of fun, and I think that brand's going to take off. It's going to be on Peacock.
All right, sweet. A lot of people probably don't appreciate the idea of investing in a business that takes forever to actually make money. Yeah. But kudos for that. You have my appreciation as someone who knows what that takes, or sort of knows.
And I know a lot of people too have always complained, like, well, why don't you just make the World Series of Poker completely free? And it's a legitimate complaint. Like why do we put stuff behind the paywall? I mean, the most of the time we're putting most of our content out for free. I mean, we do more free content than we've ever done before. Comes to the World Series of Poker, though, you've got it's a $5 million production to put on the World Series of Poker. You're streaming 40 straight days. You're streaming the main event for 10 plus days. And those days, those have to be edited down, and you got to create 51 TV episodes for CBS Sports. So it's an enormous undertaking. And, we have 3 buckets of revenue. You got the licensing revenue coming in. We got a certain amount of licensing revenue. We got a certain amount of sponsorship revenue, but it doesn't come close to covering that, that $5 million number. So the only way to make up that gap is to put some of the content behind the paywall, and that makes up the gap, and it makes the World Series of Poker worth doing for us. If we didn't put it behind the paywall, we wouldn't generate enough revenue, and we'd lose millions of dollars producing the World Series of Poker. So in that case, we just wouldn't produce it. So you wouldn't get 40 live days. I mean, I guess they would stream the final table for free, right? And maybe a few other things, and it'd be a much lower, cost production. But in our case, we did the best we could. We did a tremendous amount of free content. There was always some free content on those 40 days, and it's either we don't produce. We either have to put some of it behind the paywall, or we just can't really produce it. There's just no way to make it work financially. You put it all out there for free, it just wouldn't generate enough revenue to cover the $5 million nut that it costs to produce it. So that model just doesn't work. Otherwise, we do it. Like if we could just produce it and put it all out there on YouTube for free, and it generated more than $5 million, I'd be happy to do that. We can't put it out there losing millions of dollars, right?
Doug told me that he made videos constantly just for YouTube, and YouTube paid him like $30,000. So I can only imagine even 5 million views is not going to give you that much.
Yeah.
Or wait, it's 5 million that costs, or how many views do you get?
God, I don't even know. I probably, off the top of my head, I think it's like, all in TV, live coverage, I don't know. It's in the neighborhood of 1.5, 2 billion views. Minutes viewed. I don't know what the total viewership is off the top of my head. I have to look at that.
That seems like a lot.
Going forward, W's World Series of Poker is now owned by GG Poker. So I'm hoping we will continue to produce it, but they have a different business model, right? They have an online poker site, the world's largest online poker site. So they're in a position where they can broadcast it for free, right? Because they have a product, an online poker product that's so profitable that for them, they might as well get the message out to as many people as they possibly can. And if it costs them money on the production side, so be it. So for those people who want, more free content, I think they're going to get it now that GG is the owner.
Yeah, let's hope that they have the most altruistic interest. That's a different issue, but
no, I think they do. I think their goal is to grow poker as much as possible, right? So I would assume that would mean not putting poker behind a paywall.
Yeah, they seem mostly well intentioned. I'll give them that. I like those guys quite a bit. I just think at least the prices for WSOP are pretty competitive for people to make real money. I personally believe in upward mobility. Online seems very tough on GG personally, from what I can see.
Yeah, no, I can't compete on GG. The games are way too hard. Everybody plays perfect somehow.
Well, on top of being very tough, the rake is also very high.
Yeah.
But they do loads of positive things for poker as well.
It's just a different, online poker to me is a different game. It's like there's no instincts. It's like, to me, that one is, if you're going to be an online poker player, you better be studying and, playing the optimal game, because you're not going to really, I don't know, your instincts it's just a different game. You're not going to feel what the player's doing.
Well, you guys heard it from Cary. You better be studying for online poker. Even Cary says that. Well,
that's why I don't play, because I'm not going to study.
He's like, no, fuck that. There's room for instinct. It just doesn't show up in the same exact way from someone who plays a lot online.
That's instinct from experience.
Yes, yeah. You're right. I think to be honest, I think it's basically ultimately the same, but that's another discussion.
Yeah, I guess you get used to. It's true, because I guess you get used to playing the same online players, especially in cash. So you know what they've been, how they've been playing, and so in your case, it probably is different. But to me, I'm talking about like an online poker tournament where there's like 1,000 people, or hundreds of people, and you just won't know who the players are, so you really don't have any history with them.
Sure. Well, maybe I would think. Yeah. Well, this is a bigger discussion on psychology and all that. Anyway, I want to ask about what it is that drives you so much to support poker. Well, I got a couple questions actually, but that's the first thing in my mind. Why is it that you support poker so much? Is it just pure, you love the game that much, you just enjoy it that much, that love it in that sense, or is there some underlying reasons beyond that?
I love poker. I've been playing poker since I was like 6, so I enjoy playing. I'm passionate for the game. I like playing tournaments. That's just more fun for me, right? Cash to me seems like a job, right? You're going in, you're grinding for 4 or 5 hours, or however long the game's good. You're just trying to make it every dollar you can. It's just a different game. I enjoy the competition of the tournament, because like a tournament, 99% of the time you're not gonna win, right? So when you do win, it's very sweet.
Yeah, so it's the thrill of the first place.
Yeah,
or the few places.
I enjoy the competition. It's fun. And the studio is such a great place to play too, and it's a mile from my place, so I couldn't ask for anything more. I remember, there were very few high stakes game in Vegas. I was when we first started the Aria High Rollers. It was like hardly any 10Ks even.
When was this?
Actually, I think it was probably like 2014, maybe. I think we had the first. Back then it was at Bellagio. We had the first Bellagio high roller. It was a 10K, and I think we only got and I told Bellagio, look, I'll personally guarantee it. Just run it, and I'll get some players in here. And I couldn't get anybody to come play. And I think we ended up getting 11 entries. So I didn't have to give Bellagio any money. And Roger Sipple ended up winning that one. I think he might have fired 5 bullets, but he ended up winning. And that was our 11 entries. That was the first Bellagio high roller. And then eventually we moved on from Bellagio to Aria, and that's where the Aria high rollers began. And are still running to this day.
I had no idea. I had no idea of the history of.
And the Aria high rollers is where I invented the Big Blind Ante, because I was playing in Jeremy's cash game, and they were having the Big Blind do the ante in the cash game. I'm like, wow, this is so efficient. We need to do this in the Aria high rollers. So we basically started. I changed the structure around, and we started running the Big Blind Ante. At the time, it took a while. It took maybe 6 months before I actually just made it a 1-to-1 match, because I was messing around. Sometimes it would be the ante would be half the size. Sometimes I had it double, and I just couldn't get it right. And eventually, I settled it a 1-to-1 match, and that worked out. That was kind of clean. That worked out well, and it does speed up the game, because I don't know if you remember back in the day of the World's, back in the World Series of Poker, there was a level that was it was 400, 800 with a 75 blind. So it's the dealer's literally making, because then you have to get 3 of those green chips, right? And then someone's got to have 4 blacks, and then they got to have a 500 chip, and they got to have 3 more blacks. And it's the dealer is making change. Everybody's got to ante the 75. So the dealer's making change for 4 people every single hand. And I'm like, this is so inefficient. This is absolutely nuts. We got to do something to speed this up. So that's where the Big Blind Ante came.
Ladies and gentlemen, the inventor of the Big Blind Ante. I did not realize that you had that claim to fame. I've heard before people have claimed to invent the bluff, and I've had other things in poker.
Nobody alive,
the 4-bet.
Nobody alive invented the bluff. That's for sure. I'm sure that started thousands of years ago.
Well, that was a joke, or the cold 4-bet, or
yeah.
I call that, but okay.
No, I did invent the Big Blind Ante. We started it at the Aria high rollers, and eventually it kind of just caught on. And then I guess it really caught on once the World Series of Poker finally started doing it.
Yeah, it seems as though poker tends towards efficient adjustments, which is one thing I do like about it. It seems to change fast, at least in terms of when things are in its locus of control, not from whatever boundaries government makes on it. I'm curious, by the way, what were the challenges you've had with poker productions and with the business of PokerGO? Because, yeah, it seemed, at least from the outside perspective, that you guys were killing it. I know that productions is a tough business, though. I would have thought that productions in poker isn't that tough, but apparently I'm mistaken.
I think the media business in general is tough. And look how long it took Netflix to turn a profit.
Netflix?
Yeah, it took them forever.
How long did it take them?
I don't know. I don't even know if they're still profitable today. We should look it up.
Really? That's crazy.
I mean, what's their PE ratio right now? I don't even know. We could look it up. I'll look it up when we can. A media business is tough. And you're talking about licensing revenue, and all these companies that used to pay bigger licensing fees, that they don't pay them anymore. ESPN used to, in the old days, ESPN used to pay a big licensing fee for the WSOP. So it was a lot more profitable back then. But then, ESPN today they're not interested in paying a licensing fee for it. They'll say you give us 2 to 4 hours, we'll put it on for free. We'll take it for free. So I think maybe there's just too much poker content now, possibly. So on the TV side, there's no real incentive for them to pay a licensing fee. And then also when online poker, when you had that Black Friday, right, and all those poker operators got shut down, that wiped out a lot of the advertising dollars, right? So that made it more difficult. But ultimately, you're in the media business and you're competing against, all kinds of entertainment, and you're trying to squeeze out sponsorship dollars and licensing fees, and we have the subscription revenue. So, and then, we do outside productions too. So it's, there's a lot of, we also, own Poker GFX, which is the, largest poker graphics company in the world. That's a subsidiary of PokerGO. But, the business is in good shape now. It's going to be profitable going forward and should be around long term. So it just was, it was a lot more challenging than I ever dreamed.
I wouldn't have expected. I guess it makes some sense. Everything kind of is always harder than you expect.
Yeah. Everything costs more than you expect. Like, it's expensive to have a studio in the area, right? These things are expensive. It's expensive to have a great production team.
Oh yeah. I've seen for much less production. Okay, I want to talk more about how does balance look like for you now, but also how would it have looked like if you're still trying to make it, as many of the viewers are just trying to make it and wish they could have your life, I think.
No, like,
what would you have done?
Like, I'm believe me, I'm incredibly grateful for the life I have. I feel like I'm the luckiest man on earth. I really am. I could die tomorrow, and I'm incredibly thankful to God for the life I've had. I'd have no complaints. But that, now I have a new goal. I'm 55 years old. I have 6 kids. They're all grown. I have 6 grandchildren. And, my goal now is, I'd like to get another 30 healthy years. So to me, I feel like I'm on a free roll. Right? I had great 55 years. Now I want to milk it for another 30 years. And at the same time, I want to learn to be a little more present. I think that was a blind spot of mine because, when you get older, life starts going by really, really fast. And the reason for that is that you kind of the same day starts happening over and over again. It's almost like Groundhog's Day. And when that happens, your brain's not getting new information. So in that case, your days go by faster. So you're like, wow, this year went by really fast. So I'm working with an energy guy, and I'm trying to figure out ways where I can actually slow things down. And so to me, focusing on the present and the now is very important. And it's something I'm trying to do a better job of. And that way the next 30 years, I want to slow them down. I want it to be back like remember when you were in school and like it seemed like it took forever for 3 o'clock to hit? It's like, it's just the time is so slow, right? It's like, you're like, when is it ever going to be 3 o'clock again? Even like you did like that last that last 10 minutes before it hits 3 is like an eternity when you're young. So in my case, like, the reason is because when you're a kid, everything's new. All these people around you, you're learning all kinds of things. Everything's new. So time goes like incredibly slow. That's why you have so many memories from childhood. But you get older, right? Everything's kind of the same. And it just goes by super quick. So I'm trying to figure out, I want to have another 30-year run. I want to be able to play poker for another 30 years. So to do that, I'm going to have to stay pretty healthy and get lucky again.
It makes sense. Makes a fair bit of sense. I would think part of the antidote is what you implied is that you do more things. If that's part of your solution, it sounds like what part of your solution is like meditation as well. That's usually what people mean when they mean being more present. Or is that?
No, I do.
Yoga?
I think, look, meditation and yoga is critical. I think it's just slowing down and just being more present when you're around your family, just in general. And I'm not saying it's easy to do. I'm trying, right? Because this last 55 years went by really quick. So I'd like to slow the next, hopefully 30 down as much as I can. And I think the only way to do that is by being more present and not living in Groundhog's Day, right?
Makes loads of sense to me. I've tried to slow down, just enjoying just positive things. It's not so easy. I will say, as someone who's meditated a decent amount, not a huge amount, whenever I meditate, life sure seems to slow down. 20 minutes all of a sudden is a lot slower than whatever it is when, I don't know, I'm watching a YouTube video or whatever thing. So meditation definitely seems to be doing the job for that, at least for me. Maybe you can agree with that. What about when you were younger, though? Because I would think people when they're younger are worried about, having any money at all. Or, making sure their business or they're going to business is successful or they don't go broke playing poker, as an example.
So what do you want? Like, I mean, to me, obviously the poker game, you just don't play games you can't afford, right? I mean, everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. When it comes to business, I think, if you're just starting a business, then, you got to be, you can't waste any money. You've got to be focused and disciplined on how you spend money. But ultimately, there has to be a way that you can generate revenue, and you've got to be able to sell if you can. And ultimately, once your business starts moving in the right direction, one thing I found is, it's all about hiring the right people. It's about having good people that you like working with. And usually if you have an employee that your instincts are you're thinking you may want to let them go, you usually probably should let them go, because they usually don't change. So in my mind, you got to make those decisions pretty early on, because keeping bad employees with bad energy is the worst thing you can do.
From what I understand, you do a couple other things on the side as well. I know you're involved in philanthropy and community. You're the president of the St. Gabriel Catholic School.
No,
that's old.
That's old. The school actually shut down. We put a ton of money into it, just couldn't get it to work. It's another one of my failures. I do have a venture capital company called Dream Ventures that I've got a great CEO, and I've been working with him, which is exciting. We've launched. We're in the process of launching our second fund. Can't really discuss that more, actually.
I know a bit about Dream Ventures. Do you want to talk about what you invest in? What parts of that are not?
Yeah, it mainly invest in. It's about 70% tech, 30% CPG, consumer packaged goods. And then the interesting thing is too, it's a nice thing is like PokerGo in a way can be used as a small VC fund too, because sometimes we trade advertising, for equity in companies. So, which is kind of fun, and as it opened up a new potential revenue source for us.
That's creative. I didn't know you could do that.
I know. I wish I was smarter. If I thought of it earlier, we could have maybe picked up some of Prize Picks or one of those other incredibly successful companies.
Yeah, I guess theoretically you could trade commodities for, any kind of commodity for anything, really, like theoretically. Why not? I try to get people who owe money, at least to me, pay it back with just some kind of work, or for other people doing some kind of work. It's not really anything different, or at least that's some kind of solution to the debts problems. So for your tech fund, Dream Ventures, not tech fund, is it all sectors that you invest in? Is it private equity? Is it startups? Is it any stocks or any other things I'm not thinking of?
It's 70% tech, 30% consumer packaged goods. It's more of a private fund.
I've thought to do a little bit more stuff in investing and all that, but that it's not my personal highest priority. But I do think that poker players could transition into that, especially as they evolve and want to do some more stuff in their money.
I think poker players are very savvy, and you can make it as a professional poker player. There's no reason you can't make it in the business world, because it's all about making good decisions and taking calculated risks. And the most important thing I think in the poker community, right, and in life and in business, is you have to have integrity, like in all your actions, whether it's with your spouse or your family or your friends, your business, your colleagues, your poker buddies. You have to have integrity in all aspects of your life, right? Or there's going to be, a karma shitstorm like you've never dreamed.
I happen to agree with you, but I would like to investigate that more, play a little devil's advocate.
Sure.
And tell you or ask you why. Like, tell me about why is, in my philosophy or worldview, things, it's like a life strategy. Like, you're basically saying to me, integrity is like the optimal life strategy to use. Why is that?
That's a good question. Like, because if you do one thing dishonest, right, you lose all credibility. You do one thing dishonest, you can lose all credibility with your business associates, your family, your friends. The poker community won't want to take your action anymore. So you do one thing dishonest, and you're gonna hit rock bottom, and you pretty much always, I mean, that's just how the universe works. I didn't make the rules. So to me, having integrity in all aspects of your life is the goal. No one's perfect, right? And people do make mistakes. And usually if you make a mistake or you did something dishonest, then you got to go put your tail between your legs and kind of rebuild your credibility back, and you got to grind your way out of it. There's no other way to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. With my autistic brain, my interpretation is basically with higher order systems, meaning systems at scale, and this being basically a system at scale. If there's parts of that system that are not very functional, it's going to cause parabolic problems. That would be like,
how are people going to do business with you if they can't trust you?
Well, yeah, you could see it. That's the normal way to say it.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, if there's no trust, then there's no possibility for systems at scale. Systems at scale require trust. I mean, by the way, it's the case with globalization as well. Globalization is incredibly fragile, as it turns out, and basically all the positive aspects of modernity exist because there's a high level of trust between a lot of different countries. But that's my thoughts. Also, I think there's a lot of subtle things that people do that are dishonest, or not quite dishonest with a malicious intent is quite rare, but with negligent intent, you can say. That's a little bit different. It's not as malicious. That's cool. You believe in that so much. Is there anything else? Oh, I have a question.
Okay.
So you said that anyone in poker can succeed in business. I wonder if that's true, because there are a few skill sets in business, like sales, for example. You don't really need sales that much in poker, but
that's true.
It sounds like almost everything else, you need a bit in poker. Yeah, if you're trying to get in private games and stuff. You need in business 100%. Like you said, you can't, like if you have sales, like you can suck at running a company, or suck at operations, or suck at
that's true.
Whatever. You could just sell your vision to somebody, and then now you got a tech person.
I mean, like
you don't have to
like in
get
life.
a huge salary. In
life, you got to sell your ideas, right? Whether it's you're selling your wife on your ideas, you're selling your kids on being good people, right? You're selling your employees on the company's vision. I think life's all about persuading people to do the right thing.
Well, I would add to that, by the way, because it's about delivering too. That's part of integrity, right? I would think, because if you sell and you can't deliver,
that
you can't sell anymore.
Good point.
Yeah, I feel like I'm better at the delivering part personally, but and then in addition to that, there are some skill sets in business I've learned that are different than poker, like being organized, being on time, being a bit more adaptive in different ways. I guess that's similar to poker, but also being a clear communicator. It's not that important in poker. Hiring in general is quite a bit of a different thing. Time management, also not that important in poker.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah. You make some good points, for sure.
Well, what do you think is similar between the two that might inspire people in poker to hop into business?
I just think if you're good at money management, if you got an idea you believe in, it seems like you can take it as a calculated risk. You can create a bet. It's like a bet. You're betting on yourself.
Okay, fair enough. Well, what's in the future for you, Cary? Are there any other big projects you're working on? Any other things you'd like to talk about that we didn't touch on, or things you're really focused on? I know you're really into your fitness. You spend a lot of time with your family. That's a big part of your life.
No, just very grateful. Life's been great. Excited about. I haven't played any poker this month, other than the heads up event we played in. But I'm looking forward to playing again in September. PokerGo's got a lot of big events going on, and we got a PGT Bounty Series, and then we got the Poker Masters. So it's going to be a fun month. I'm looking forward to getting back in the action.
One more thing. What about bracelets? How much do you care about those? I know it took a long time for you to get your first bracelet. Do you care a whole lot about the titles? Is this important for you?
Yeah, I'd like to win. PokerGo has 4 majors. There's the Poker Masters, the U.S. Poker Open, the Super High Roller Bowl, and the PokerGo Cup. My goal would be to win all 4 of them. Hopefully, by 2030, I've gotten 2 of them so far.
Well, I'm rooting for you. I think a lot of people are rooting for you, and they would buy. I think probably you'd have more people think here plus EV than you might expect, and certainly more people who believe in you than you might expect.
Well, I think I think I'm plus EV in the studio events for the most part, but I don't think I'm plus EV online. So that's for sure.
Yeah, well, always pretty damn tough.
Well, you know what? It's poker's a humbling game, and I had a 4-year run where I was running really well when I started really playing a lot of the high stakes stuff, and then the last couple of years were tough. So I thought, ultimately you got to. I'm trying to change my mindset, and I'm trying to embrace, the wave, the ups and the downs. I want to embrace it more, and I want to enjoy both. I want to enjoy it when I'm up, and I want to enjoy it when I'm down, and try to be a better sport going forward.
All right, embrace the wave, go with the flow.
Yeah, enjoy the wave. Enjoy the wave.
You inspired another alter ego of mine who likes waves.
All right, well, look, I appreciate you welcoming me to the jungle. What the should be called? It should be called "Welcome to the Jungle."
Fair point. Maybe I should.
And then you got to buy the Guns N' Roses song for it too, as kind of as your lead-in song for the podcast.
Good idea. Cary Katz coming in with Guns N' Roses, waving one of the biggest influencers of poker of all time, basically. I don't know who really is bigger.
Oh, Negreanu is the biggest by far. By far.
What has Negreanu done that's bigger than...
Negreanu's done more for poker than anybody. I mean, if he's on a stream, he gets, like, the viewership goes up, like, 5 to 10x. Yeah.
Really?
He's always on social media, promoting the game. He's by far the biggest star in poker.
You think because... Well, I would think that, to be honest, building the infrastructure for these things to survive is a bigger deal, and also is underappreciated in comparison. Like, he gets his reward because he's the star and he gets paid infinite money. But, most people don't really care about the whole setting the stage aspect and setting the infrastructure of these systems in place. I would think that's more important.
I don't know. I think he's done more for poker than anybody. He does a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't even know.
Like what?
Just working on things for the World Series of Poker to make it better. Working on things for online poker to make it better. Gives us advice on structures. I mean, he does a lot of things, and he does a lot of promotion, and it makes a big difference if he plays the series. I mean, you're going to double, triple your viewership just by having him there.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that. And by the way, what I said about him earlier was only because I guess it's possible that I'm biased. I just think that creating businesses does more than just being a star, but I could be wrong about that. Of course, I hope that I'm wrong, because I do both, actually, but maybe he does both too.
Oh, I'm just a big fan of his. Helmy has been an incredible partner too. I've been working with them since 2015. They've been ambassadors of PokerGo, and we couldn't have possibly been as successful as we are without them.
Oh, really? I will say Helmuth is a big supporter, and he doesn't really get as much appreciation for the positive energy he puts out and these kinds of...
Oh, well, yeah, he's a character. I mean, everybody he's either love him or you hate him, which is great for poker, right? You need he's a hero and a villain, which is perfect.
No. I don't really...
Negreanu's more just in the hero role.
Yeah, Negreanu has incredible work ethic, actually. Yeah. He works very hard, to be fair. I gotta start doing whatever he's doing.
I just don't. Yeah, Negreanu, he works hard. He works hard at his game, but he's also not one of those guys who studies 4 to 6 hours a day. I know in his master class he says, to compete with the best, you got to study 4 to 6 hours a day. But
that's bullshit.
Yeah, he's more just it's more of a mental game for him, and just kind of knowing the players. He's just more old school. He's done well. He's won two of the four. 2 of the big 4 at PokerGo, and then he was one of the points leaders this year. He's done really well this year, but I don't think he's playing the Poker Masters this year for some reason. So it's a big blow for us.
That's odd. Maybe you should sell him on it.
Yeah,
you're the guy.
Probably should. You know what? I'll do my best.
Negreanu, we need to play the Poker Masters.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, he'll look good in that purple jacket. And he needs the Poker Masters. He's only won the Super High Roller Bowl in the PokerGO Cup. He's never won the Poker Masters or the US Poker Open. Those are our 4 majors. I structured the PGT. I tried to copy the PGA, right? Once again, copycat. The PGA has a series of 50 events a year. The PGT has 100 events, but our events are shorter, right? And it's a calendar basis. It's a point system. And, we rank the players, and they have 4 majors they compete in, and then there's the PGT Championship at the end, where the top 40 ranked players get to play in $1 million free roll. So there's quite a reward for those players if they can qualify and be in the top 40.
And that kind of appeals to me a little bit. $1 million free rolls, no joke.
Exactly.
That's
maybe you should, or you'll be in Jeju.
Solid.
I guess
I'm seeing it.
You're going to be in Jeju, so you'll probably miss the Poker Masters.
Yeah, I'm trying to grow poker worldwide, but I've lost my mind with what's possible.
Congratulations on that heads up event.
Oh yeah, well, it was a surprise event. And people don't exactly appreciate. I like happen to be at the right place at the right time, although it occurred to me I was kind of the perfect guy for that because I was Mr. I just play the highest stakes that exists, and if they exist, I'm flying, breaking my plans and flying right to them. I did it for Asia and played enormous games, and I made my investors lots of money, which I personally like to be able to do. But it was a bit of a team affair. Well, sort of, in a way, more like making it happen, I should say. In order to get these kinds of opportunities, I try to maximize my breadth of possibilities by flying to these kinds of places. Usually I'm getting a little lazy, or I'm not perfectly efficient because I have one, what's the word? Vice is the word. But, I had to change like my whole week of plans to go fly and play him because he's in Cyprus. I should have showed up in the first place, but I just, it's like, what?
No, I tried the traveling thing. I did it for like about 3 years. I was, traveling, kind of playing all the high stakes stuff. And it's like, it just took too much out of me. I don't know how they do it. So it's almost impossible to have kind of a work-life balance when you're traveling international and playing all these events and playing 10 straight days. It's hard to keep everything going. It's a lot. There's so much 1 mile away. I mean, the horseshoe's about a quarter of a mile away from my place, and the studio is about a mile away. So I mean, I have unlimited amount of tournaments to play, and I don't have to travel abroad to play them.
Yeah. Well, I've leaned into that kind of role, by the way. Not so much playing, but more like being an icon for going to all these kinds of places. It is possible to make it work. I find you can get used to it.
Well, speaking of icons, you're more of a legend. I would say there's now I would say there's 5 icons in poker. There's a difference, right?
Okay.
Legend. You're I put you in the legend category. The legend, the Jungleman. There's 5 icons. In my mind, the 5 icons are Doyle Brunson, Daniel Negreanu, Phil Hellmuth, Ivy. I'd have to put Mizrachi in there now. I mean, what he did is iconic. No one's ever going to do that again. 4th Players Championship and wins the main event. Those are the 5 icons. And I think Mizrachi just graduated from legend to icon. I would put you as an icon in the online world. You're an icon. In the poker world, you're still at the legend. You're at the legend status because I don't know if you've reached the heights of those. Fair enough. I'm just teasing you.
No, fair enough. I'm just talking about the traveling thing just because it's not for everyone, for sure. It's like impossible to do with family, or it's extremely difficult, I would think. And I actually toy with the idea of being more stable and being that kind of business person. But this is what I've done. Unfortunately, I found someone who's like an operator who has more of that kind of lifestyle. Otherwise, whatever I'm doing wouldn't work. But I decided to take more of the sort of business style that just hop everywhere. Anyway, thank you for your time.
No, thank you. Look, and I think we got to change the name. Welcome to the jungle.
All right, I'm going to have a talk on my team.
All right, I'll talk to you later. See ya. Thanks for having me.
See ya.